So let me go ahead and get started. Good afternoon again. My name is Pablo Avila from the Center for Teaching and Learning. I'm looking at the LaGuardia website. I wanted to show you where all of these recordings are being posted. We are recording this session so that everyone is able to join and access the recording later. Under faculty resources right here, you will click on it, and this is a page where you will access all of the previous recordings. The session that we ran yesterday, it's already up here, the overview of Zoom features. So that's also available to you all. One more logistical announcement, and then I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Charles. On the bottom, there is a chat feature. If you could go ahead and identify it, it would be helpful if you could let us know your name and the area where you're coming from, the department, so that we get to know who you are. My colleague Charles is going to facilitate this session. I am going to be monitoring the questions in case you have any. There will be time at the end for a Q&A portion so that we can go back and forth and answer any questions that you may have. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Charles.
Well, hello everyone. I hope everyone is keeping healthy and safe. I'm glad that people have signed up to come in and learn a little bit about some of the facilities available through Dropbox. Does everybody know that they have access to a Dropbox account? How many people know that? Okay, I see one thumbs up. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to, if you don't know, Dropbox is basically an internet hard drive where you can store different files. You can store Word documents, you can store PDFs, you can store images, videos, things of that nature. But along with the storage capabilities, Dropbox also gives you access to basically two different types of software that you can use. And this presentation, as far as Dropbox is concerned, we're going to take a look first at Dropbox Paper. And Dropbox Paper is basically a collaborative work tool that can be edited by as many people as you want to sort of invite in. I imagine everyone's familiar with Wikipedia. Yes, you can, if you're hearing me, you can nod or you can use your thumbs up, or I see everybody uses those features. So Wikipedia is an open source collaborative tool where people can go in, they can create an account, and anybody can go in online and make changes. Dropbox basically is the same in principle, except it's a little bit more locked down. People need a link. They need to be invited in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share my screen, and I'm going to go into, let's see, okay. Okay, so we're here, Dropbox Paper. Okay, can everyone see this here? And let me see if I can, yes, I can move this down. And basically, Dropbox Paper it's a collaborative tool. You can see it's very easy to edit. And oops, let me just move this over here. okay? When you go in, if you highlight something, you can change these things. You just highlight, and it's basically like Word, except it's all online. Doesn't give you as many features as Word. It's very simple. Right? I can get rid of the highlighting. Right? And you know, I've just put together this document here using Dropbox Paper, which is available online. I mean, you can share it with people. And you can see over here for resources, right? The Center for Teaching and Learning has put together resources. Many of you have already been in these sessions, so you know that Pablo and Priscilla and the people in Center for Teaching and Learning are recording this. And most people now have their microphones muted, which for me is a change because usually I'm in meetings and everybody's talking over one another. And of course, everyone has been using the chat room as well, okay? So what I'd like to do, basically, I'd like to have people try to work along with me. Is everybody on a computer now? Most people, all right. Again, I'm just gonna have to move the photos of people over. Let me see if I can.
And just a note, while Charles is doing that, if by default, when you see Charles' screen, it maximizes your window. You can always hit the escape button on your keyboard so that you can minimize the window and you can open a new browser if you want to follow along what Charles is doing and follow these instructions. Also, at the bottom of your screen, you should be able to see a reactions button. If you click on it, that will give you the ability to either press the thumbs up or the clapping hands as we move along. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pablo. So for CUNY users, I'm just going to assume that many of you probably haven't gone into your Dropbox account. And so what you can do if you're working along with me, you can just open up a tab in a browser and you can just type in CUNY Dropbox. Okay. And if you're searching in Google, it's usually the first that comes up. And here is the Dropbox link. And it's important to take a look at this because there's a cloud policy for data that's used, university data, and especially things like grades and things like that. So data classification public, allowed in Dropbox. Confidential information would be anything that is protected under the federal privacy laws for students, the FERPA Act. And you can see it's not allowed in Dropbox if it's confidential. These things would be like students' grades, letters perhaps from the Office of Students with Disabilities, things like that. Those shouldn't be scanned and put into Dropbox. And you can see there's like health information, citizenship information, trade secrets. You can see, so this is basically a breakdown, but the policy in detail, there's a link on the page that's available there. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is because my colleague, Derek Stadler, did a presentation on integrating the storage capabilities of Dropbox, like files that you have on Dropbox, into Blackboard, into your Blackboard courses. And there were sort of a lot of questions as to what kind of materials you can have in Dropbox. So it's basically right there. And then if you click over here, you see it's log into Dropbox. And you have to go through that page, okay? You can't just copy this link, because this link only works for one instance. So when you're there, your username would be the same as what you would put in to log into CUNY first. So I'm assuming everybody sort of has that already, okay? And as you can see, I've put in a title here, log into Dropbox. I created a little table. I'm going to show you how that was done. And I've created a little graphic. I'm not going to show you how I did the graphics. Basically, it's just screenshots in a photo editor. And then you would just enter your CUNY credentials. You're going to get to a page where it's just going to give you that login.cuny.edu. Usually it's your first name dot your last name and a 2-digit number, and you would click continue, okay? How am I doing? How's everybody? Is everybody following along? Does anybody have any questions?
There was one question.
If you want, you can unmute your mic. You can just ask me directly, or how do you want to do this, Pablo? Do you want them just to use the chat?
This is a small group, and I am open to any option that works best for you. If people want to unmute their mics and jump in with a question, that's totally fine. You can use the chat room to document questions as well. It's really up to folks. There was one question about navigating, downloading, and sharing files on Dropbox. Adriana, I don't know if you want to jump in with your question, and then for additional context, and I'm also monitoring the rest of the questions.
Yeah, please unmute your mic and just ask. As Pablo said, this is a small group, so. Yes, the question?
There is a quick question. Adriana, are you there?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I really get a lot of trouble finding the Dropbox on my computer when I know that is the link, but I have a lot of trouble when I want to share something.
When you
now they are asking me to pay.
Okay, well, there might be some confusion with the account that you're logging into. I don't know if you have a personal account also before the CUNY license, but you have to make sure that you log out of your personal account and make sure that you're logging in using that page that we just went to.
I ended then with 2 accounts.
Yeah, so you have to log in through the CUNY page in order to get, because it's a business license, so you get a lot more features and we're not paying for it. So basically you're getting the Dropbox Pro or whatever it is for free. Well, not for free, CUNY's paying for it and it's coming from somewhere. And with the way things are going, who knows how long we're going to have access to these things. So yeah. Hopefully with the online learning, you know, we're going to have to keep these tools anyway. But yeah, you need to make sure you're logged out, maybe refresh your browser, and then log in through the CUNY page. Don't type in dropbox.com and click login. You have to log in through the CUNY page. All right, so is everyone clear on that? You can't really just go to dropbox.com. You have to go through CUNY EDU. You don't, as you saw, you don't really need to memorize the URL. If you just type into Google CUNY Dropbox, it's going to take you to the CUNY Dropbox page.
And I think that answers an additional quick question that someone asked. Linda asked, can we use Dropbox without using the CUNY first login? And I think the answer is no. We have to make sure that we use the CUNY first credentials. Is that correct, Charles?
Right. If you want the added features that come with the you know, the subscription Dropbox, I have a free Dropbox account that I was using. But when this came along, I went with this because I wasn't paying for it, but this gives you a lot more features. There's more storage space, more things you can do. So anything dealing with CUNY, I would just use this.
So I have a question.
Yes.
I was trying to log in while you were talking, so I didn't really hear the email address that we put in. I put in C. Fernandez at LaGuardia. You said it's something different?
Right. Have you logged into CUNY first?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what you have to do. It's usually your first name dot last name, and then there's a 2-digit number, and it's at cuny.login.edu. And if I just click on this, right, if I go here, right, CUNY login FAQs are right here.
Okay.
All right, and right, it's one set of CUNY login credentials, username and password, governing access to most university-wide applications. And I think in order to get into Blackboard, you would have to do that.
Yeah, that's what I do for Blackboard.
Yes,
but I think the answer was the question. My problem is what the other colleague had said is I know my son has used Dropbox on my computer. Mm-hmm. So I'm afraid, I think I'm logged into that, and that's why I can't get in.
And that's why you could not.
So I'm gonna try and do it again.
what you could do in most browsers, if you go over here, usually there's open up a new window or a new private window.
Mm-hmm.
Or incognito.
You could try opening up an incognito window in Chrome or a private browsing window in Firefox, and that will just start as if it's a fresh page with no cache or anything.
Okay, thanks.
Now, I'm just looking at the web interface because you can log onto your account on the web, but if you look, I don't know if you can see my desktop here. There's also
your browser.
Yeah. Oh, just the browser?
Yes. Right now we're seeing.
Yeah,
right now we're using the CUNY browser.
Right. There is an app that you can download. You can download it from Dropbox, and then you would have to go through the login credentials using your CUNY credentials again. Okay. So that's. I hope I cleared that out for some people. Yeah. Okay. And now I'm just going to show you, just take you over, just to give you a little flavor of what you can do. How many people have logged in to their, to Dropbox? Okay. And even if you get into your personal account, I believe Dropbox is available even in the personal account. And over here, if you, I've just scrolled down, usually on the web account, you're going to see create a new file. And I'm just going to show that here. And if you can see over here where it says create a new file, Dropbox Paper. And you can just click on that. Where do you want to store it? So just like on your computer, you can create folders. All right. I'm just going to go in here. All right. And then I'm just going to create. And a new window opens. And this is basically a new Dropbox page. Okay, now you can see over here it says Untitled, right? Where it says give me a name, basically that's the title of the document, and that's how it's going to appear in your Dropbox folders, right? So I'm just going to put okay, and you notice over here, that's the title, all right? Now, you can link a calendar event. For some reason, because of the way it logs in, this feature doesn't seem to work too well with the CUNY corporate version. But there is the ability to sort of, if I click over here, you can connect your Gmail or Google Calendar. You can connect Office 365. But I've tried that, and for some reason, I can't explain why, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work with this version, and I don't know why. It's a strange anomaly, okay? And then over here, it's asking if I want to add something. You get these little boxes here. I'm just going to put in things to keep in mind. Again, just like Word, right? I'm highlighting it. The format bar appears. It's very simple. You know, you can create a bullet list. You can change the heading. I can make it bold, strike through. There's no underline. There's a highlight, right? I can do that. I can do this, right? Okay. And then I'm going to go down again. And on this new line, you can see over here, start a bulleted list, start a numbered list, right? Add a section break if you want. I'm not going to go into that. You can add a checklist. All right, I'm just going to start a bulleted list.
Charles, and as you're typing, I'm here on one question that probably would be helpful here. This seems to be very similar to Google Docs. Are there any specific similarities or differences that you could point out?
Yes, it's very similar, right? So again, that's another analogy. It's Google Docs, but again, the only thing is that CUNY has access to this, whereas with Google Docs, CUNY doesn't have a license for it. So, and the preference is, even though there's a cloud data policy, the preference is to use the applications that are available through CUNY, because those are the ones that CUNY will support. If you're having issues with it, you can always get tech support for it.
And in the event that some people are using Google Docs or for this matter, this tool for activities where students are reading the same document and they are making comments and providing highlights on the side, is that something that you're able to do in Dropbox Paper? like
yes,
making comments on
yeah,
a site and sharing a document with a group of people?
right. So if you see over here where it says share, if you click on that, you can add individual emails, okay, and just send a link to specific people, right? People can edit and comment. People can view. People can view and comment. So you can do two things. People can make comments, or people can comment and edit, right? And then there's a link as well. It says link copied. And if I go back to my Dropbox page, if I click on this, it says link copied. I'm just going to go to, whoop. All right. Okay, wants to share a file. Dropbox Paper is a collaborative tool with you. Join Dropbox. So in order to share it, people have to sign in. So it's kind of protected.
Okay.
And because everybody has access to an account through CUNY, it's not like you're asking them. Maybe some people don't want a Gmail account. So this is just part of what you get through the university. It's like Microsoft Office 365. So in order to view and comment, right, it's sort of like a closed ecosystem. Whereas with Google Docs, you have the ability to switch whether somebody needs a password to access it or somebody can just go in and access it. With Dropbox Paper, it's a closed ecosystem, so they have to log into their Dropbox account in order to get access to the document to comment on it, which is good because if you're doing classwork,
you don't want to have it open.
Yeah, you don't want it accessible. Like a student may send somebody else a link and they'll just click on it and things like that. So this kind of guarantees that it's a more closed ecosystem.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just going to go back. And I'm just going to go, let me see if I can get back to the paper we were creating. Okay, here. Okay, so if I go down over here, suppose I want to put a table in. All right, and then if I click over here, the first row is usually just for labels, but if I click here, I can add an image. All right, and I go in here to Dropbox. And then if I go in here, I can add another image. Okay. And if I want over here, if I click on this, I can get rid of this row, or I can add a row. Okay. So the tables might be a good way to sort of organize images, but I don't want to get into it here too much. Sometimes for accessibility, a lot of times they say don't use tables. So, you know, some of this might not be so accessible. So you would have to sort of, I think, consult with somebody if you have students who have accessibility issues on the web. Okay, so basically that's it. You can start a checklist, right, for a document, which sort of looks like this. Well, it did look like that. Let me just go down here. Yeah. Okay, write a to-do list. Click on that. Okay. Click. Click. Okay, and that's also available in Dropbox as well.
One feature that I was playing around with was the timeline, and it was a very interactive tool that you're able. It's essentially a timeline that you can
Yes.
insert. I was just doing it for like a quick example for my class. Like, this is when assignment 1 it's due, and then assignment 2 it's due, and things like that.
Yeah.
Exactly what Charles is doing. It's really cool, intuitive, and I have not used this tool before, so it's really cool.
Right, and again, you can send it out to students and just give them the ability to comment on it and not change it. But yes, and then you can just expand here and then, whoop, it sort of went there.
Once again, I am monitoring the chat room in case you have any questions. Hopefully everyone who had trouble logging in was able to log in. If not, I'm happy to troubleshoot offline as well. Again, make sure that you're using the CUNY First credentials. If you have a specific question, please, you can feel free to unmute yourself and jump in with the question. I see Christine is still not able to log in. Christine, I'm going to troubleshoot with you offline, and I'll make sure that you're able to log in. I'm sure there's probably an issue with the switching accounts. Some people were asking about similarities between this and Google Docs. Hopefully by now you have a better idea, but do make sure that you jump in with a question in case you have any.
Right. I mean, the main difference is, again, Dropbox Paper is supported by CUNY. There's a license. Google Docs isn't. Students have access to Dropbox. Faculty have access to Dropbox. So.
Charles, someone is asking, how do they find out their CUNY First ID? It's a tough question. I actually don't know. I mean, if you have used CUNY First or Blackboard in the past, you are able to see your ID there. But if not, how do you happen to know how people would find out?
I'm sure on LaGuardia's homepage, there's sort of like, let's see, CUNY First login.
Because the format, it's always the same. It's your first name, dot, last name, and then a 2-digit number.
And then a 2-digit number, yeah. And I don't know what the 2-digit number is.
Yeah, I mean, I know mine because I've used it.
Yes.
Let me follow up on that, Linda. I know you asked this question. I'll follow up offline and I'll see. It follows the same format, but I don't know where that lookup may be. I'll make sure that I follow up. And
that's a very good question. And to be honest, I'm trying to think how I first got my CUNY First ID. I'm trying to think how I got it.
Well, I remember when they launched CUNY First, you had to register your account, and then you essentially were assigned that CUNY First ID. I just wrote it down and I've kept it since then, but that's the first time.
And maybe if you go like to Blackboard or something and you go to sort of log in, it might say, have you forgotten your user ID? There might be a link on there to click. I'm not sure.
Let me check on that.
Okay. Things are going, any questions about Dropbox Paper? Does everybody see, the basics of how it works? Okay. And like like Pablo said, you can unmute your mic if you want and just call out a question. Okay, from here, we're just going to go into Dropbox Showcase. Now, unlike Dropbox Paper, Dropbox Showcase is basically like a website or a web document. It's just information that you want to share with people. That's not necessary. It's not editable unless you invite people in to edit. And it's just a link that people can click on and you get to it on the web. All right. So I'm just going to go over here. Okay. And again, if I go here, I'm just going to limit it. It says add a logo, right? So as soon as you go in to Showcase, and I'm going to show you how to get there. Let me just see here. Okay. Over here, does everyone see in the left? This is my Dropbox, my web account. Does everybody see this over here? Okay.
Yes, I do.
And it's on the left side. There's Home, there's Files, there's Dropbox Paper, and there's Showcase. And then it's just over here, create Showcase. Okay. And you can see it's very similar, except I've added things. And add a logo. All right, I'm gonna choose that. It's very tiny. You can't really change that. It would probably be based, you know, that's the way it is. So it's just bare bones. If you just wanted to put together a web document, say you wanted to put together your syllabus online or some notes that you just wanted to put up there and give people access to. I mean, how you want to use it, it's up to you. If you think it's useful, then maybe there is a use for it. If not, it's just something there that I just felt that people should know about. Okay. And
Charles, can I ask a quick question? Are
yeah.
there? I'm following along what you're clicking on. Are there examples of what others have done with Dropbox Showcase?
You can probably go online and find samples of Dropbox and of Dropbox Showcase. And Dropbox itself has quite a few, there's tutorials that will take you through things. But basically, you know, it's sort of like, it's like following the steps in a recipe. Just add this, type that, add something else. You know, show the author. And you can see my, you know, my CUNY ID there. I don't want to show the author. Okay.
So this is essentially a collage of specific documents or even media elements that you want to put in a cohesive way for a certain audience, correct?
Yes, yes.
And you can treat that as, let's say, if you want to present your syllabus in a specific way, is that something that you could potentially do?
You could, yes. You know, You can insert a section, right? How many items per row? So here are 4 items. You know, if I want 4 items, if I want 5 items. Right. Oops. Okay. Okay, choose to upload a file. I can insert a link. Paste a link.
If you are not seeing, if you're logged in and you're not seeing the showcase, you can always click on the Dropbox icon on the top left. That's going to take you directly to the home page. And then you will see on the left the options, home, files, paper, and showcase. And we're able to click that.
Yes, yes. So just once more, where's... okay, yes, over here. Okay, it's right there for everybody. All right. Now, I'm just going to, oops, I have to move this down. I'm just gonna share this. I'm just gonna copy a link. Okay, link copied. And I'm gonna go over here. Okay, so basically this is what it looks like. I mean, I don't know how people feel about Trump, but there you go. This is just Spite and Dival. This is where I sort of live. You can.
We're seeing your browser with the share screen. That's all we're seeing right now. In case we're supposed to see something else.
Can you see the video over here?
No, we don't see. We only see your browser from the showcase Dropbox, and
we're from the showcase. Okay,
yeah, we're seeing.
Sorry,
that is exactly what we're seeing. Yeah, not a problem. Yeah.
So if I, in order to show the other browser, I'll stop sharing.
Correct. You can stop sharing and then share again, and
then share again. Okay. Okay. What is this? Oh, what did I do? Okay, hold on here. Nope, sorry, folks. This is the wrong one.
That's okay. While you do that, Charles, I wanted to follow up on the item about retrieving the CUNY first, user ID. If you go to the CUNY website, cuny.edu, and you click on logging and you log into CUNY first without logging in, but on the screen where you're going to log in, there is an icon that says forgot username. And if you click on there, it will walk you through the steps to retrieve your user ID. So again, cuny.edu, you go into login, you choose CUNY first, and instead of logging in, you click on forgot username. Those are the steps you should follow. Fill out the form, and then it will tell you the CUNY first ID that you were assigned, and then you can go ahead and reset the password if you need to. That's how you log into CUNY first.
Okay, and this just gives you an idea of how a showcase page comes up in the browser.
Okay.
All right, so you have the images here. If you double click on that,
Okay.
and
So now we see those. Okay, and
all
there's a
right,
video as well.
so you can
Okay.
see the video. Okay,
Okay.
yeah. Just go back to that. Okay. Any questions on Dropbox Showcase? It's just a very quick, simple, dirty way to put together a web page. You know, and again, there are so many different tools out there. I'm not doing this because I'm suggesting that everybody should use it. I'm just out here presenting this so that people can see that there's other tools and people can sort of think about which one fits them the best. Okay, and finally, very quickly, this is a very quick, very easy, simple tool. It's called Firefox Send. And in order to use Firefox Send, you need a Firefox account. How many people have a Firefox account?
I don't.
Usually, what setting up a Firefox account will do is it will sync your Firefox browsing history wherever you sign in. So if you're on your phone and you use Firefox, or you're on your laptop, or you're on the desktop and you're using Firefox, and you save something to the bookmarks, you can create a Firefox account. So I'm just going to go in, right? I'm just going to sign out. All right, and I'm just going to disconnect. Okay. Now okay, so basically, Firefox Send lets you share files with end-to-end encryption. So what does that mean? That means that when the file is being transmitted to the end user, whatever's going on in the internet, no matter how many servers the file is bouncing on, the file is encrypted. And again, it's very easy. You can drag a file up there. You can drag a file up to 1 gigabyte, which is quite a sizable file. And then over here it says sign in to send up to 2.5 gigabytes. How many people? Now again, this only works on the Firefox browser. How many people use Firefox? No? Probably most people are using Chrome. The thing with Chrome is that Google is collecting all your data, and then when you sign into your Google account, and then you start browsing, it's you know, it's not connecting you specifically as a person to what you're browsing, but that browsing history follows you all over. And a lot of times people say, well, why are these ads coming up? I was looking at this before, now it's following me around. And that's usually what happens. Firefox is an open source browser. The software and the algorithms are open source. It's put together by a consortia, and mainly it's there basically to protect your browsing history. Okay, you can set up an account, which is very easy to do. Okay, create a Firefox account. You just enter your email. When you click sign in, say if I enter my email I might even have a Firefox account for this. Okay, and it just tells you to create a password and repeat a password. Okay. Now, the thing is, to use Firefox Send, you don't even need an account, right? You can load up to 1 GB without an account. If you create an account, that sort of goes up by 250%. So you can upload files and they can be transmitted through secure encryption end to end, right? So what's something that you might want to be, that you might want to send end to end encryption? I don't know. I would be very wary of this, but if this is what they're saying is true, say you have something dealing with your income tax and you want to send a file to your accountant, you put it up here, you create a link, and let me see if I can do that now, actually. Okay. Okay, what I did is I just dragged a file here. The download expires after how many days? Right, if I upload it, right, copy the link. There's the link. Okay, and then I can download the file. And so that's basically Firefox Send. So as long as you're using the Firefox browser, you can do this. End-to-end encryption, which means it's very secure. It's more secure than sending an email sometimes, unless you're using something like Proton Mail or some secure email provider that provides end-to-end encryption.
What I'm thinking, Charles, is that in some cases, faculty are recording sessions, pre-recording lectures or mini lectures, and they are generating files that could potentially be large.
Yes.
So they could actually use a system like this without necessarily having to send sensitive information, but rather a video file that may typically be larger than regular size. They can use a system like this and then send an email to all students for them to get the file, correct?
Yes, I mean, you know, a video that goes on for maybe a couple of minutes could be around 30 or 40 megabytes, you know, and that could easily be distributed to students. And again, the thing is, like, if you email that, a lot of times email clients won't accept files that large. So you can do it that way as well. And it's just drag and drop. And then you get a link, you send the link. And you know, let me just see. I'm just gonna go to my Chrome browser that I have open here.
And see if it works from Chrome.
I haven't tested that to see if it works. But yes, it does. So
it does.
You only need Firefox to upload the file and generate the link.
Okay.
The person downloading the file can use any web browser they want.
Okay. Yeah. So that could be one possibility, right? Sharing a file with your students, a video file, or in some cases it could be a set of different files as well. And I'm thinking that even Dropbox, you could upload a video into a folder for your class and also distribute that.
Yes.
Them. And let's say that you have a main folder for your ENG one-on-one class, and then a subfolder for videos, a subfolder for assignments, and
right.
You start uploading everything. The thing that Charles mentioned, which is important to remind ourselves of, is that CUNY provides a license for Dropbox, and it's giving us all that space and storage. so that we're able to use it. So that's something to take advantage of.
Right, and you get support. So if something goes wrong, CUNY supports it. Whereas if you're using Jing or something else, and there's an issue, you know, CUNY's going to say, well, you know, I'm not going to help you with that. So yeah, that's the good thing about this. Any questions about?
Yes. Or any comments or even ideas or things that you're thinking of using? I think, Michelle, I see you have
yes,
a
I have a couple of questions. One is that the reason why I was most interested in Dropbox is because my Blackboard is like overfull, and there was lots of recommendation of moving even an entire course or course material. So I'm wondering about how I would do that using Dropbox. And I was also told that I could archive some of my emails into Dropbox. Is that true? So those are two areas.
Well, yeah, you can, you know, there's different places where you can sort of archive things. You can use your Microsoft 365 OneDrive account. And it's kind of interesting with Microsoft 365, we kind of get two accounts. One is located at LaGuardia. So you get a LaGuardia 365 account. And then one is located through CUNY Central, where you have to sign in using your CUNY First credentials. So it's kind of interesting. So you can upload there. You can use Dropbox. I think it's almost like unlimited. The size of your account, it can almost take unlimited storage, basically.
So if I were using it to archive, how would I do that?
You mean
if I were using Dropbox?
For Outlook, you mean?
Yes.
For Outlook, in order to archive Outlook, you would have to have the desktop client, and then you would have to go into the preferences. I mean, unfortunately, I don't have the client on the machine here because fortunately, I was able to borrow this from LaGuardia. My laptop, the hard drive just died when all this started, and this is kind of locked down. But you would need to go into the desktop client to do that, and it creates a file, and you can archive automatically as you go along. And I think it's a .pst file, and you would just basically upload that file, and then when you want to read those emails, you would have to download the file and open them up through the Outlook desktop client.
So is it easier? I mean, I'm just looking for some place to move them because there's lots of emails that I need to save as I'm an associate professor and academic fieldwork coordinator. So sometimes there's like sensitive information regarding students that I'm saving right now with my email, because I'm not using, I have a lot of stuff that I archived on my desktop at LaGuardia, but using my laptop, I could do a conversation history, but I know that's still keeping all of those emails still on my, all of that email is still counting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
is it up space?
Right. So is it better to use the Microsoft 365 or Dropbox? Like, I'm just trying to figure out what would be the easiest.
Again, it depends on the kind of information. Like you saw in the beginning, we looked at Dropbox and there was a table there, non-sensitive, sensitive, confidential, and it gave a list of recommendations. Like if it's confidential, and it gave you a list of examples of what confidential is. Like you said, you had sensitive information. But if it's like students' grades, anything to do with, you know, you get a note, like I said, from the Office of Students with Disabilities saying that the student has this or that, and you've taken a scan of that, you know, you don't want to be storing that on Dropbox. I mean, you know, what are the chances of this thing being hacked and that information finding its way somewhere? I don't think it's very great, but, you know, all of these things are protected under FERPA. Does everybody know what FERPA is?
Yeah, it's sort of the student, our college version of HIPAA.
Yes, it's the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. Okay, and that sort of governs what's confidential information.
So what would be, where would I be able to archive student sensitive information like that?
You know what? I mean, if you really want to be on the safe side, I would just ask IT or look at the CUNY cloud policy, and it might say Office 365. Since Outlook is an Office product, it's a Microsoft product, you know, it might say, yeah, you can upload to Office 365, or it might just say, you know, have it on a secure thumb drive.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to chime in with. I don't see sensitive information on a regular basis, as Michelle may, of course, do. But I just keep everything on an external hard drive, and not that I connect it to my email. I simply download an actual file from the email, generate a text file, and then I keep it all there. It is helpful in the sense that I keep a record of it offline if I ever want to go back to it. But at the same time, it has its drawbacks because it doesn't give me, let's say if I want a threaded conversation, it doesn't give me the whole entire thing if I saved only one item. So sometimes I want to see responses and I just don't have access to that. That has been my rudimentary way of doing it.
And the other thing is that email also, you shouldn't be sending confidential student information via email because that's not a secure form of communication. So I would imagine anything that you have in email, probably if you received it from someone, probably is not confidential in terms of really, really confidential coming under the FERPA Act.
Okay. And I'm sorry, the next question has to do with being able to move information from Blackboard, like some of my old courses. Okay. I don't want to just delete them, but I was told, oh, maybe you should move.
Yeah, you can archive them. You can Blackboard will create like a zip file. It will just like condense everything. And it creates a file that can be uploaded into Blackboard again, or somebody can upload it into their Blackboard account and it reads the file and it opens everything up. And where you store those files, again, I think Pablo's suggestion of having an external hard drive that's password protected. You know, if it's going to be like student grades and things like that. And then also there's when you archive and zip up a course, usually there are check boxes as to what you want to actually archive, and so you can choose not to archive the student grades or whatever, and then you can just, you know, just the content.
And that would I be able to put on Dropbox? That's what was recommended.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't think, unless there are student grades, you know, I think it's okay. If it's just the content, like your discussion board without student work, you know what I mean? If it's just your discussion board questions. And
I'm thinking about like my content, like lots of different files that I've uploaded with different course materials. Like
I think that's fine to put on Dropbox or Office 365.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? How's everyone doing? Do people have time for a quick video?
Sure. I do have a question though.
Oh, okay. What's your question?
When we leave CUNY or LaGuardia, what happens to everything that's in our Dropbox?
The secretary will disavow any knowledge of your existence.
Are we able to still access afterwards, or do we have to transfer everything to a new Dropbox, or what happens to it?
I think you probably would. There probably might be some mechanism where you can like just set up a premium account with Dropbox and that it would just transfer over. I really don't know.
Just curious, because I don't want to put all this stuff on Dropbox through CUNY and then find out that later, you know, like in 5 years or whatever, I have to figure out how to get it off of there.
Well, usually I think if you leave, once you leave an institution, basically that's it. They disavow any knowledge of your existence. You know, your email disappears, things like that.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Well, I'm just going to close by sending you this this little cute video. I hope you can see it. Let's see.
This time's your mind anomaly.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I know where that water's coming from.
In 100 worlds,
I was told that I did that when I was a toddler.
Oh.
Okay. So I just wanted to leave everybody with that happy, funny thought.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you for going over all of this, for that cute ending, and thank you everyone for joining the session. We're gonna close it here in case there are follow-ups. I'll make sure that I reach out, Christine. I'll make sure that I reach out regarding your logging in to Dropbox so that I can make sure you get there. In case there are any questions, you can always feel free to reach out to Charles via email, myself.
Yes.
We'll continue to run these sessions. Everything is on the website that I showed at the beginning. So we will post additional sessions there for you to sign up. All right.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon and stay safe.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you very much,
everyone.
everybody. And thank you again, Pablo, for organizing everything.
Thank you, Charles.
And doing all these things.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a good one. Bye, everyone.
All right. So
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Enjoy. Stay safe. See you, Pablo.
See you, Charles. Take care.
Bye.